Walter the Fearless is here, everyone, and with him, a short that brings more questions than answers for the most part, and you know, that's a good thing. This Pinetree Pioneer loves all things mysterious. However, it was truly this curiosity that led him to the constant itself. That, and him not really being the best at judging dangers. However, he went looking for answers, and a cryptic creature but found a radio in their place. And little did he know, his interest would transport him to a land full of monsters and mystery. And now trapped in the constant, Walter befriends one to help the many, and he is ready to let his fascination become his reality. A brand new spankin' character means a whole bunch of brand new spankin' stuff, but I feel as if I should remind everyone of something relatively new before we get into the game. The Compendium. A recent quality of life update brought the Compendium to the game, and with it, just a lovely collection of information regarding each of our whimsical survivors, not excluding the newest of the bunch now. So, just have yourself a fun read about Walter, and maybe even break down all his stats before you get in the game. But let's go ahead and get there ourselves. And say hello to Woby, everyone. Walter's very own companion available at spawn. And we'll discuss her first. But first things first, yes, we can pet her whenever we wish and nothing else matters. Unless, of course, you enjoy the prospect of having an immediate Chester at your disposal, because that is essentially what Woby is. A cute, fluffy, portable storage container. And that's just at her base. And wow, I expected maybe like a single row, not a whole 9 slots. Big time advantage here, especially when Woby can't even die. But what exactly do you mean by at her base? Well, I just mean that she's a portable container at her base. That said, put but 3 monster meat or durian in her belly, and suddenly she is a portable storage container that is now way fluffier and far bigger. Do note, though, that she does keep to 9 rows of storage, which is fine by me. But say hello to Woby's large form. And in her large form, Woby is able to bloody transport us now as well, because we can mount Woby all the same as Beefalo, with some tweaks to the benefits of that, of course. Most notably, the slower speed of Woby, or at least it seems so. Also note, though, that once Woby begins to starve, she will revert back to her smaller form. And it appears to me like the process takes roughly 2.5 to 3 days to occur if Woby is given 3 meat to transform and nothing more beyond. That too is not what I expected. I was thinking it'd be a lot shorter than that, but have fun mapping. But here's where you won't have fun. Combat. At least Woby won't, that is. Oddly though, it is said that Woby won't participate in combat. However, she does actually hit mobs for 10 damage, and doesn't actually mind you fighting from atop her. It's only when you get hit when things actually take a turn. Woby will instantly buck you off when that happens, so you best stick to ranged combat with your Slingshot if you want to defend your fluffy steed. And speaking of, Walter's trusty Slingshot is our next talking point, and while he may spawn with one, you can also craft another with a single twig and 2 mosquito sacks. And you just gotta love it when a typically underused item gets some love itself. And just note that the Slingshot has no durability whatsoever, so this is really only going to come down to whether or not you lose one or not. But let's talk ammo. You spawn with 10 normal pellets at the ready, and when loaded into the Slingshot, they will deal a whopping 17 damage. Not even enough to kill basic rabbits or birds, sadly. And this is kind of sad, personally, as I was thinking 25 damage would at least be the base. That said, if you know what you're doing, one can fire pretty darn quickly, at least with the F key held down. So, there's that. Overall, though, it is a good thing there are plenty of ammo types available. Even more than we were led to believe. Gold rounds are a thing, and make note, Each craft equates to 10 total pellets, which is quite handy and pretty darn efficient in some cases. Gold round here's deal 34 damage each, which is more than enough to murder some cute fluffy things and rats with wings. Not only that, just think of it as a spear now, but at a distance. Not too shabby on slower targets, but we can do better. However, before we do that, let's get crappy. Poop pellets are a thing too, and are very simple to understand both in craft and function. Again, a single recipe produces 10 pellets each. Poop pellets de-aggro mobs instantly, so hit them in the face with literal crap and they will think twice about messing with you, at least for a short while. This does not work on bosses, however, not even mini bosses like tree guards, but if you need to escape, these are a good deal. But perhaps not as good of a deal as marble pellets here. It looks like farming marble as Walter is going to be absolutely huge, as not only will a single chunk of the stuff provide 10 pellets once more, each pellet deals a surprising 51 damage each. That is barely below Hambat levels of damage at a distance to boot, and that is pretty darn spectacular actually. Marble may just be the ammo of choice, but we've got more to shoot, like freeze rounds here. An ammo type that ended up becoming way more powerful than initially thought by yours truly. So thank goodness for the expensive recipe actually. These might be too good though, especially when we still get 10 per craft for Pete's sake. Here's the thing. A single shot from a freeze round will freeze most every mob in the entire game. No, not kidding. An ice staff takes 2 to 3 for the most part, while a freeze round takes 1. That said, the ice staff does have something over the pellet, in that the mobs usually become de-aggroed once they naturally thaw out, while with the pellets, they stay hostile. Still, the fact that we can only take 2 shots to freeze bosses is insane. So yes, I sense a tweak coming soon. And I don't think they're gonna stop there either, because slowdown rounds may need a look as well. They do exactly as advertised. They slow down the movement speed of whatever mob you hit them with, including bosses. While folk have made the argument for easier kiting because of this, in practice, things were never going to exactly pan out as you had hoped, especially because the duration is low and the use is even lower. For how expensive these things are, they would have to be far better. Perhaps slow down attack speeds to boot. And last, but certainly not least, cursed rounds. An ammo type that will require you to venture into the deep, dark, dangerous ruins to create. And yup, you guessed it, each craft means 10 pellets, which in this particular case is unbelievably efficient. Cursed rounds deal 51 damage, the exact same as marble pellets. However, they also have a chance to spawn shadow tentacles to aid in combat, similar to the Thule Sight's club. These tentacles deal an additional 34 damage if they hit, but here is the thing. Unless you are fighting slow or stationary mobs, you aren't exactly going to get the most out of these ancient rounds. So thank goodness for one of Walter's perks, a perk that makes it so the Slingshot, and thus Walter, will not draw aggro if what you are fighting is already targeting something else, including just other mobs, and not just other players. This perk is what allows for proper use of ammo types like the cursed rounds, and also keeps you very safe from dangers, as you can just pelt away and not potentially mess up your teammates' kiting pattern along the way, which is just an added bonus, and it's all lovely stuff. But speaking of perks, let's wrap up today by covering the rest of them, like the one that makes Walter the bloody sanity god of Don't Starve Together immediately. In short, Walter takes no sanity loss from anything beyond damage, of which we'll be talking about here soon, meaning that darkness has no effect, and thus decay is on top of that. Deerclops and her insane sanity aura is obsolete, and we can even have both a dark sword and knight armor equipped with 0 penalties. So my goodness, this is even more broken than I imagined it would be. So how then does the damage to sanity thing actually work? Well, it appears quite simple. Any damage taken is multiplied by 2. and the resulting total is how much sanity you will lose when taking damage. For example, picking cactus without armor means 6 damage to your health. 6 damage to our health as Walter equates to 12 sanity damage on top of that. Easy maths is always good. Just be careful around things that deal more than 6 dang damage, however. But that's not all, folks. If Walter's health is below about 90-ish%, there will be a constant sanity drain to deal with on top of everything. At first, things are pretty darn slow. However, the lower your health, the greater the drain, so be very mindful there. This character promotes not getting hit by big things, so don't. But the last minute downside. Walter cannot gain sanity from any clothing whatsoever. So things like tam o' shanters, garlands, top hats, etc. are now donezo. But this feels so shoot in my opinion. However, it does add challenge, I guess, so there's that. That said, foods and tents and such still provide sanity, so you know what, I'm just gonna say it. This mechanic is totally not needed. It feels completely pointless. However, one last sanity specific thing. Walter's Pinetree Pioneer hat. While equipped, the hat reduces the sanity loss from damage. Half in it to be exact. Put simply, if you take 6 damage to your health, you will lose 6 sanity to match it. So even Stevens, as they say. Oh, and they are craftable too, I believe, on top of you just spawning in with one. So moving on to arguably more shoo-ins, even though they really shouldn't be. The tent roll. The tent roll is a portable tent that functions the exact same as a normal tent in terms of sleeping mechanics and stat regens, only it has more uses and is again portable. I love the idea, but just something feels off about this. Perhaps it's the identical function of the two, or the fact that they really didn't expand on his scouting capabilities. But Walter also benefits from less hunger drain from sleeping overall, so make note there. But our supposed scout has some campfire mechanics as well. Not only can Walter cook things significantly faster on fires, come nightfall, he can tell sets of random stories to anyone around, even himself, for a collective and short-lived sanity gain mechanic. I don't want to spoil the stories, so moving on, but this is kinda neat, I guess. However, here's maybe another wasted opportunity. Not in the mechanic itself, just in context again to him being a scout. Walter gains sanity near bundles of trees, which is a connection to his love of the outdoors, yes, but the gain is just so abysmally low that it's just meaningless. I see what they were going for and commend the thought, but Walter's whole sanity nonsense ruins this entire perk. But finally, a very fun perk. Walter is allergic to bees, and thus takes double damage from them. 20 damage from a single bee is honestly pretty frickin' scary. And just think how this will translate to the queen of all bees. Wearing regular armor, of sorts, does nothing to negate this. However, the beekeeper hat still functions the same, so there you go. And there you have it, everyone. Walter, the Fearless. One last mention would be that the Slingshot works wonders on nightmares, and you will know exactly what I mean when you try it for yourself, so do so. But as for how I initially feel about our newest character after all this, I will have to say that I like what they were going for, however he just doesn't feel right. He doesn't feel like a scout, a survivalist. But if you'd like to hear more specifics, then just let me know, because then perhaps I'll make a video discussing on what could have been. But thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all. Have fun out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.